I am literally shaking as I type this. My hands are trembling so bad I can barely hit the right keys. I'm locked in the master bathroom with the fan on so she can't hear me crying. Downstairs, my wife, my beautiful, sweet, pregnant wife, is folding onesies and singing to herself. This is a throwaway account. Obviously. If anyone in my real life found this, it wouldn't just be a divorce. It would be a nuclear detonation. I don't even know where to start. My brain feels like it's filled with static. Let me give you the background so you understand why this feels like a knife twisting in my gut. My wife, let's call her Sarah, and I have been married for 5 years, together for 7. From the moment we got serious, all she wanted was to be a mother. She's a preschool teacher. She's the kind of woman who stops to look at babies in strollers at the grocery store. She has this light. Or, I thought she did. We started trying for a baby 3 years ago. When nothing happened naturally, we started the testing. It was unexplained infertility. On paper, we were both fine. My swimmers were fast, her plumbing was clear, but nothing stuck. Do you know what 3 years of IVF does to a marriage? It grinds you down to dust. The injections, the bruises on her stomach, the hormone swings where she'd be screaming at me 1 minute and sobbing into my chest the next. The cost. God, the cost. We have spent over $70,000. I drained my 401k. I took extra consulting gigs. I worked 80-hour weeks to pay for the miracle. And 4 months ago, it finally happened. The second transfer took. When we saw that heartbeat on the ultrasound, I cried. I'm a 32-year-old grown man, and I bawled my eyes out in that clinic. I felt like I had conquered the world. I was finally going to be a dad. Now, let me tell you about her family. The dynasty, as I call them in my head. Sarah comes from a tight-knit family. Too tight. Her parents are wealthy, controlling, and obsessed with appearances. And then there is Mark. Mark is Sarah's older brother. He is 35. He is the golden child. You know the type? He's failed 3 businesses, all bailed out by daddy. He drives a Porsche he can't afford. He treats me like the help because I actually work for a living, even though I earn 3 times what he pretends to make. I have always hated Mark. He's touchy-feely. He has no boundaries. But Sarah adores him. Oh, that's just Mark being Mark, she says. Her parents treat him like the Messiah. I tolerate him for Sarah's sake. Okay, fast forward to today. Sarah is huge on nesting right now. She wanted the spare room cleared out to make space for the nursery. She asked me to go through the boxes in the back of the closet. I found her old college laptop, a heavy silver MacBook from maybe 2016. She said I could wipe it and trade it in or recycle it. I plugged it in. It turned on. I guessed the password on the first try. It was the name of her childhood dog. I wasn't looking for anything. I swear to God, I'm not a snooping husband. I trust her. I trusted her. I just wanted to make sure we saved any photos of her late grandmother before I wiped the drive. I went into the Photos app. Thousands of pictures. College parties, trips, random selfies. Then I saw a folder on the desktop. It wasn't in the Photos app. It was just a folder labeled draft_V2. I clicked it. I don't know why. Inside, there were no documents, just screenshots. Screenshots of text messages. And about 20 photos. The photos were dated from last August. Let me clarify the timeline. Last August, we took a break from IVF. The doctor said Sarah's body needed a rest before the next retrieval cycle. It was a high-stress time. I stayed home to work on a massive project that was going to pay for the next round. Sarah went to a parents' lake house for a week to decompress. Mark was there. Her parents were supposedly there, but I know they left early for a gala in the city. The photos are of Sarah and Mark. They aren't explicit sex tapes, but they are intimate. Too intimate. A selfie of them in bed. They are clothed, but the tangles of sheets. His arm is around her. His hand is resting on her stomach, under her shirt. Another photo of him kissing her neck while she holds the camera, smiling a smile I haven't seen in years. Then I opened the screenshots of the texts. Mark, you sure he's not coming up this weekend? Sarah, He's buried in work. We have the place to ourselves for 3 days. Mark. Good. I miss you. It's been too long since we could just be us. I felt the blood drain from my face, but I kept reading. I scrolled down to a screenshot dated 3 weeks after that trip, right before our successful IVF transfer. Sarah. I'm late, but not IVF late. Naturally late. Mark. Don't panic. Take a test. Sarah. If it's positive, it's yours. It has to be. We haven't had sex in 2 months because of the meds. Mark. So? Sarah. So what do I tell him? And here is the text that made me throw up in the sink 5 minutes ago. Mark. You don't tell him anything. You do the transfer next week like planned. If it takes, the doctor will assume it's the embryo. If it doesn't, you miscarry or whatever. But if this sticks, Sarah, we win. You get the baby. He pays for it. And we keep the bloodline pure. Sarah. I feel sick, Mark. Mark. You'll feel better when you're holding our baby. Just stick to the script. He's a wallet, Sarah. He's not one of us. He's not one of us. I am staring at my face in the mirror right now. I look like a ghost. One of us. What the hell does that even mean? Is this incest? Has this been happening the whole time? The timeline, the math, the baby she is carrying right now, the baby I have painted a nursery for, the baby I have sung to. It's her brother's child, and she is letting me pay for it. She is letting me think it's mine. I hear footsteps. She's coming up the stairs. She's calling my name. Honey, did you find the old baby monitors in that box? Her voice sounds so sweet, so innocent. It makes my skin crawl. I have the laptop in my backpack right now. I didn't wipe it. I shut it down and hid it under the towels. I need a plan. I can't go out there and pretend everything is fine. But if I confront her now, without a lawyer, without backup, they will destroy me. Her family has money. They have connections. If I say incest, they will paint me as insane. They will gaslight me. I feel like I'm in a horror movie. What do I do? Do I play along? Do I leave tonight? How do I look at her stomach without wanting to scream? I have to go. She's knocking on the door. Time passed since last post. 4 days. I haven't slept more than 2 hours a night since I posted that. I feel like I am vibrating with adrenaline and rage constantly. Every time I close my eyes, I see that text message. He's not one of us. A lot of you in the comments told me to run, to pack a bag and disappear. God, I wanted to. When I opened that bathroom door on Sunday, I wanted to vomit all over her best mom t-shirt. But I didn't. I listened to the advice from the Reddit veterans and the lawyer I saw on Monday morning. I am playing the long game. And let me tell you, it is the hardest thing I have ever done. Let me back up to Sunday. When I finally unlocked the bathroom door, Sarah was standing there holding a stack of swaddle blankets. She looked concerned. Honey, are you okay? You've been in there for 40 minutes. You look pale. I had to lie. I told her I had a sudden migraine with aura. It wasn't hard to fake. I looked like death. I told her the light was hurting my eyes and I needed to lie down in the guest room, the room that isn't the nursery. She tried to baby me. She put her hand on my forehead. Her skin felt radioactive. I flinched. I couldn't help it. She pulled back, looking hurt. Hey, I'm just checking your temperature. I know, I said, forcing my voice to be flat. My head is just pounding. Please, Sarah, close the blinds. I spent the next 12 hours locked in the guest room with her old laptop hidden inside my pillowcase. I waited until I heard her heavy breathing on the baby monitor. She's been snoring lately due to the pregnancy. And then I snuck out to my car. I drove to a 24-hour Walmart, bought a massive external hard drive, and sat in the parking lot copying every single file from that draft_V2 folder. I made 3 copies. Monday morning, I called in sick to work. I took the laptop and the hard drives to a high-end divorce attorney downtown. A guy named Wolf, not his real name, but it fits. He costs $600 an hour. I sat in his glass-walled office and laid it all out. I showed him the photos. I showed him the texts. Wolf is a guy who has seen everything. Infidelity, hidden assets, secret families. But when he read the pure bloodline text, he stopped cleaning his glasses. He looked up at me, and for a second, he looked genuinely disturbed. OP, this isn't just cheating. This is something else. If they are willing to defraud you into paying for an incestuous pregnancy, and if her family is as wealthy and insulated as you say, you are in a dangerous position. We aren't just filing for divorce. We are preparing for a war. He gave me strict instructions. Do not confront her yet. If she knows I know, she could claim abuse, get a restraining order, and kick me out of my own house before I can secure my assets. Secure the finances. I need to document every cent I spent on the IVF. That is fraud. I can sue for that. DNA. This is the tricky part. We can't do a prenatal test without her consent. But Wolf said, if the baby is born and it's not yours, we have a paternity fraud case. But we need to link it to him to prove the conspiracy. He told me to go home and act normal. Act normal. Do you know what normal is now? Normal is watching my wife rub her belly and knowing that the child inside might be her brother's. Normal is watching her text on her phone and wondering if she's sending nudes to Mark while I'm sitting 5 feet away. But the real nightmare was last night, Wednesday. Sarah's parents host a mandatory family dinner every other Wednesday. Usually, I hate them because they're boring and pretentious. Last night, I felt like I was walking into the lion's den. Mark was there. When I walked in, Mark was in the kitchen, opening a bottle of wine. He saw me and did that fake, overly friendly guy thing. Hey, dad-to-be! Looking tired, man. Working too hard? He clapped me on the shoulder. He squeezed it. I wanted to snap his wrist. I wanted to smash the wine bottle over his head. Just busy, I said. I moved away from him immediately. We sat down to eat. Roast chicken and overpriced asparagus. The conversation, as always, turned to the baby. Sarah's mother, let's call her Eleanor, was beaming. I was looking at the 3D ultrasound again, Eleanor said. The chin is undeniable. That is of chin. Mark laughed. He was sitting next to Sarah, closer than siblings should sit. His leg was pressing against hers under the table. I saw it when I dropped my napkin on purpose. Well, obviously, Mark said, taking a sip of his wine. Strong genes. We don't dilute the quality, right, Sarah? I froze. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. Sarah giggled. Stop it, Mark. You make us sound like racehorses. Nothing wrong with thoroughbreds, her father grunted. He didn't even look up from his plate. I looked around the table. Nobody flinched. Nobody thought this was weird. It's just lucky, Sarah added, glancing at me with a pitying look. That OP's contribution mixed so well with mine. After all that trouble, Mark looked at me. He stared right into my eyes. He smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was a predator's smile. It was the smile of a man who thinks he has won the game and is mocking the loser. Yeah, Mark said softly. It's a miracle, really. A true family effort. I felt the room spinning. A true family effort. I realized something terrifying in that moment. It's not just Sarah and Mark. The parents, the way they talk about genes and quality, I think they know. Or maybe this has happened before? I excused myself to go to the bathroom. I turned on the tap and splashed cold water on my face. I checked my phone. I had a text from Wolf, the lawyer. Wolf. I ran a background check on the brother. There was a rumor in his old frat about him and a cousin. Nothing proven. But OP, get out of the house as much as possible. I'm hiring a PI to tail Mark. We need to catch them together. I went back to the table. I watched Mark feed Sarah a piece of his dessert. He used his own fork. She took it, lips closing around the metal. I am currently sitting in my car in my driveway. I told Sarah I have to go into the office early tomorrow, so I'm sleeping in the guest room again tonight. I have the audio recording of the dinner on my phone. I don't know if don't dilute the quality proves anything legally, but it proves they are sick. Tomorrow, the PI starts watching Mark, and I have one more lead. I remembered that Sarah's best friend from college, a girl named Jessica, had a massive falling out with Sarah 3 years ago, right before we started IVF. At the time, Sarah said Jessica was jealous of her life. I found Jessica on Facebook. I sent her a message. I know about Mark. I found the folder. Can we talk? She just replied. 3 typing dots. Then a message. I wondered when you'd figure it out. Meet me at the Starbucks on 4th in an hour. Don't let them know you're coming. I'm going to meet her now. Time passed since last update. 3 weeks. It's done. The bomb has been detonated. I am currently sitting in a hotel room 2 towns over. There is a security guard standing outside my door, paid for by my lawyer, Wolf. My right hand is in a splint. My heart is still hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. If you thought the texts were bad, if you thought the dinner was creepy, you have no idea. Let's go back to the meeting with Jessica. That was the first domino. I met her at that Starbucks 3 weeks ago. She looked terrified. She kept checking the door. When I sat down, she didn't say hello. She just whispered, "Did you bring the laptop?" I told her no, it was safe. She relaxed, just a fraction. OP, you need to understand something. This isn't just an affair. It's their religion. Jessica told me everything. She and Sarah were roommates freshman year. Sarah used to cry about missing Mark. Not in a "I miss my big bro" way, in a Romeo and Juliet way. Jessica thought it was weird but ignored it until she walked in on them during a parents' weekend visit. They weren't just kissing, OP, Jessica said, her hands shaking around her coffee cup. They were discussing breeding. They talk about their DNA like it's the cure for cancer. Sarah believes, genuinely believes, that she and Mark are twin souls split into 2 bodies. They think regular people, people like you, are just genetic stock to be used for resources. She told me Sarah had an abortion senior year. Sarah told everyone it was a random hookup. Jessica knew it was Mark's. That's why Jessica cut her off. She couldn't watch them hunt for a husband for Sarah, a wallet to fund their lifestyle while they carried on behind closed doors. I left that meeting feeling sick, but validated. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. I was a victim of a long con. Then came the PI. Wolf's private investigator, a guy named Miller, is a genius. He didn't just tail Mark. He managed to get a listening device into Sarah's car while she was at the gym. 2 days ago, Miller called me into his office. He looked grim. "Listen to this," he said. He pressed play. It was a recording from Sarah's car. Sarah and her mother Eleanor were talking. Eleanor, lawyer says the trust fund releases the next tier once the grandchild is born, but only if the father is listed as OP on the birth certificate. You have to make sure he signs it immediately. Sarah, he will. He's obsessed with the idea of being a dad. He's painting the nursery yellow right now. It's pathetic, really. He has no idea it's Mark's nose on the sonogram. Eleanor, good. Mark needs that money for his debts, and the bloodline stays pure. We did it, Sarah. Pathetic. She called me pathetic for painting a room for a child I loved. For a child I spent my life savings to create. I looked at Wolf. I want to kill them, I said. Wolf shook his head. No, you want to destroy them, and we are going to do it on Saturday. Saturday, the gender reveal party. The dynasty had rented a private room at an upscale country club. It was supposed to be the event of the season. Pink and blue balloons everywhere. A cake that cost more than my first car. Mark was there, acting like the doting uncle. Sarah was glowing, wearing a white dress, holding her belly. The plan was simple. I was supposed to be the one to pop the giant black balloon to reveal the confetti. Wolf had prepared the papers. Divorce filings for Sarah, civil lawsuits for fraud against Sarah, Mark, and her parents, and a folder of evidence for the police regarding paternity fraud and, well, the incest is harder to prosecute legally between consenting adults in this state, but the fraud is a felony. The party started at 2 p.m. I arrived at 2:30. I had my entourage with me. Wolf, Miller, and 2 off-duty police officers hired for security. We walked into the ballroom. The music stopped. Sarah saw me and smiled, confused. Honey, you're late. And who are these people? I walked right up to the stage. I took the microphone from the DJ. The feedback whined. Turn it off, I told the DJ. He looked at my security detail and cut the music. The room went dead silent. There were maybe 50 guests. Friends, family, business associates of her father. "Sarah," I said. My voice was surprisingly steady. "We aren't doing the balloon pop today." "OP, what are you doing?" Her smile faltered. Her mother, Eleanor, stood up. "Sit down, OP, you're making a scene." "No," I said. "I'm making a correction." I nodded to Miller. He walked over to the projector that was set up for the baby slideshow. He plugged in his laptop. "I found the folder, Sarah," I said into the mic. Her face went white, like paper white. She dropped her hand from her stomach. "I found draft_V2. I found the texts. And I have the audio of you and your mother discussing how I'm just a wallet for your brother's baby." Mark stood up. He looked furious. "Turn that off. Get out. Security." "I brought my own security," I snapped. On the big screen behind me, the text messages appeared. 10-foot-tall letters. "He's a wallet, Sarah. He's not one of us. If this sticks, Sarah, we win. Keep the bloodline pure." The room erupted. People were gasping, whispering, pulling out phones. Sarah started screaming. "Stop it! Stop it! You're lying! It's fake!" She rushed the stage. One of the officers stepped in front of me. Then Mark lost it. He grabbed a steak knife from a table and lunged. Not at me, at the laptop. He wanted to destroy the evidence. My security guard tackled him. The table flipped. Plates shattered. "Get off my son!" Eleanor shrieked. She started hitting the cop with her purse. It was absolute bedlam. Sarah was on the floor sobbing, not for me, not for the marriage, but screaming, "Mark! Mark!" I looked at her father, the patriarch. He was sitting in his chair, stone-faced, sipping his scotch. He looked at me with pure hatred. "You are a small man," he said to me as the cops handcuffed Mark. "You will never be one of us." "Thank God," I said. "Wolf, serve them." Wolf walked through the chaos like he was shopping for groceries. He handed a thick envelope to Sarah on the floor. He dropped one on Eleanor's lap. He tucked one into Mark's back pocket as the cops dragged him out. "You are all being sued for paternity fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and conspiracy," Wolf announced. "And we are petitioning the court for a mandatory DNA test for the child immediately upon birth." Mark was screaming obscenities. He kicked out and caught me in the shin. Then he headbutted the cop. That was the assault charge. I walked out. I didn't look back at Sarah. I heard her wailing my name, then Mark's name, then, "Mommy!" like a toddler. We went straight to the police station to file the formal statements. Mark is currently in holding for assault on an officer and resisting arrest. Eleanor was cited for interference but released. I am at the hotel now. My phone has blown up. 500 missed calls. Sarah's friends, her cousins, people from the party. Half of them are calling me a monster for ruining the reveal. The other half are sending me screenshots of previous weird behavior they noticed between Mark and Sarah. I feel hollow. I looked at the mirror in the hotel bathroom. I don't look like a dad anymore. I look like a survivor of a plane crash. Wolf just texted me. "Wolf, they posted bail for Mark. He's out. And he just texted you." I haven't looked at my phone yet. I'm scared to look. Okay, I'm looking at it now. Mark, you think you won? You just freed us. We don't have to hide anymore. But you're dead walking. Watch your back. I'm calling the police again. I don't think this is over. They have nothing left to lose. Time passed since last update. 18 months. It has been a year and a half. I'm writing this from the deck of a small cabin I bought near the mountains. It's quiet here. The only sound is the wind in the pines and my dog, a rescue golden retriever named Buster, snoring at my feet. I don't have a nursery anymore. I don't have a wife. And I don't have a miracle baby. But for the first time in 5 years, I have my life back. I know you all want the details. You want to know if Mark went to prison, if Sarah begged for forgiveness, if the dynasty crumbled. The truth is messier and darker. Let's go back to the week after the gender reveal from hell. Mark didn't come for me. The threat was real, but Wolf, my lawyer, moved faster. We filed for an emergency restraining order against Mark and Sarah. Because of the assault on the police officer at the party and the threatening text, the judge granted it immediately. Mark was slapped with a felony assault charge. But, and I know this will enrage you, his parents hired a dream team of defense attorneys. He pleaded it down to a misdemeanor with 2 years of probation and mandatory anger management. Money really does buy freedom, but it couldn't buy them silence. The divorce proceedings were nuclear. Sarah tried to play the victim. She claimed I was abusive, that I was controlling, that I had humiliated her publicly due to a psychotic break. Her lawyers tried to get the laptop evidence thrown out, claiming I hacked her privacy. But Wolf? Wolf is a shark in a suit. He didn't just submit the laptop. He subpoenaed the IVF clinic's records and cross-referenced them with the dates of her trips to the lake house. Then came the birth. 6 months after the party, Sarah gave birth to a baby boy. I wasn't there, obviously. I was sitting in a deposition room with Wolf. But, per the court order, a DNA sample was taken from the infant immediately. The results came back 2 weeks later. I will never forget that day. We were in a conference room. Me, Wolf, Sarah, and her father. Mark wasn't allowed within 500 feet of me, so he was absent. Sarah looked different, harder. She wouldn't look me in the eye. Wolf opened the envelope. He didn't smile. He just slid the paper across the mahogany table towards Sarah's father. Probability of paternity, OP, 0.00%. The room was so silent you could hear the AC humming. Wolf leaned forward. And, while we couldn't force a sample from Mark without a separate warrant, the genetic markers present in the child suggest a coefficient of relationship to the mother consistent with close incestuous lineage. Sarah's father didn't flinch. He just closed the folder. How much? That was it. No denial. No, my daughter is innocent. Just, how much? We want everything, Wolf said. Reimbursement for every cent of the IVF. Reimbursement for the wedding. Legal fees, pain and suffering. And a punitive damages sum for paternity fraud that will make you feel it. They fought it for a month. But the threat of a public trial, where the words brother and father would be used in the same sentence regarding the child, was too much even for them. They cared about their reputation more than their money. We settled. I signed an NDA regarding their specific identities, hence the throwaway account and vague details, and they wrote a check that effectively gave me back my retirement fund, plus enough to buy this cabin and start over. But here is the part that haunts me. During the final signing, Sarah finally spoke to me. Her father had left the room to take a call. It was just us. She looked at me, and her eyes were empty. Not sad, just void. He has Mark's eyes, you know. He's perfect. He's pure. You're sick, Sarah, I told her. You and your brother are sick. She smiled. A small, creepy, genuine smile. We're happy. We don't have to hide anymore. Mom and Dad set us up in a house in Europe. We're going to raise him together. The way it was always meant to be. I walked out of that room and I vomited in the hallway. So, where are they now? They are gone. The house was sold. Mark, Sarah, and the baby moved to a non-extradition country in Europe. I think France or Italy based on some rumors, but I don't look for them. Her parents still live in the city, but they are pariahs. The rumors got out. People talk. The dynasty is isolated. They have their money, but they lost their standing. And the baby? That innocent little boy? I pray for him. I really do. He is being raised by a mother and an uncle-father who view him as a genetic experiment rather than a human being. As for me, I went to therapy. A lot of therapy. I had to deprogram myself from years of gaslighting. I had to learn that I wasn't just a wallet. I met someone recently. Her name is Elena. She's a vet tech. She has a rescue dog that plays with Buster. We've been taking it slow. I told her everything on our third date because I couldn't handle secrets. She didn't run. She cried for me. She held my hand and said, "I'm so sorry you were their host body." Host body. That's what it felt like. But I'm free now. To anyone reading this who suspects their partner is too close to a sibling, trust your gut. If it feels wrong, it probably is. And if you find a folder labeled draft_V2, don't open it unless you are ready to burn your life to the ground. Because sometimes, the ashes are the only place you can build something real. Thanks for listening, Reddit. I'm going to go walk my dog.